This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to another Sports Catastrophe on the stay. Yeah, right, it's a birthday boy. And the birthday boy seems to be a little controversial nowadays. But anyhow, he looked pretty good. This pitcher was great. He helped the Phillies to a World Series final in '93 and won 3 titles himself in '01, '04, and '07. He had a career postseason record of 11-2, and it's actually the major league record for pitchers with at least 10 decisions. He's got 3,000 strikeouts and looks pretty good. He actually had his own video game company, 38 Studios. Unfortunately, they had severe financial troubles. But his being an outspoken conservative has ruined him in a sense. Anyway, Curt Schilling was in the Boston farm system in 1988. Well, Schilling today turns 55. So he played his heart out for Boston. And then he was traded alongside Brady Anderson to the Baltimore Orioles for the one of one Mike Boddicker prior to the trade deadline. His MLB debut was ironically against his former club, the Red Sox, and he actually ended up winning the game, but not getting the win himself. He couldn't win a game in his remaining starts of 1988. So that trade actually worked out well for Baltimore. Curt Schilling was a decent pitcher. Brady Anderson would soon become a good hitter. All those steroids allegations would ruin it. Anyway, Schilling earned his first win in 1990 when he beat the Kansas City Royals in relief. He was basically out of the bullpen. And then one of the most iconic trades in Baltimore history on the negative side happened when Schilling, Steve Finley, and Pete Harnisch was traded to Houston for Glenn Davis because Baltimore wanted a good DH who could hit home runs and all that. The Astros organization wanted to lighten its payroll by going with younger, inexpensive players. Of course, they fleeced Boston for Jeff Bagwell. So it all worked out. Finley would do pretty well for other teams in his career. Pete Harnisch wasn't that bad, but Schilling was decent for Houston, in a sense. Baltimore would rule it forget it because Glenn Davis was injury prone, and also a lot of his home runs were hit on the road, not at the Astrodome, which is funny enough. Anyway, Schilling was traded to Philadelphia after the '91 season for Jason Grimsley. But Philly decided to get him a regular starting job, and he became the ace of the Phillies staff, winning 14 games for them. In the pennant run in '93 that the Phillies shocked everyone by making the World Series in the first place by shocking Atlanta in the NLCS. Schilling was 16-7 with 186 whiffs. Schilling didn't get any decisions against the Atlanta Braves. He got 2 no decisions in the NLCS. He still struck out 19 in those 2 games, which got him the NLCS MVP. He lost game 1 after staying a little too long against the Blue Jays. He actually pitched well in his second start. In game 5, he was given the ball, and basically they were going to pitch him to oblivion because the bullpen was used highly in the previous game, which was the 15-14 Classic. Schilling pitched a 5-hit shutout. Phillies won game 5. Forced game 6 at the Skydome, which Joe Carter's home run happened. Schilling was iconic for the Phillies. He got 319 strikeouts, which was a Phillies record set by beating the mark by Steve Carlton in 1972. Schilling either led or tied for the Phillies' lead in wins, complete game shutouts, and ERA in a 3-year span, despite the fact that the Phillies weren't a winning team. He decided to request a trade because Philly wasn't going anywhere, and was subsequently dealt to the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks needed this guy, so they traded Travis Lee and 3 pitchers to get Schilling. And it worked out perfectly. Schilling put up 22 wins in the 2001 season and making a great 1-2 punch with Randy Johnson on the mound. He was 4-0 with a 1.12 ERA in the playoffs. Amazing. And all that. Schilling was known for giving up that home run to Alfonso Soriano in Game 7 of the 2001 World Series, which I did talk about 10 days prior in an On This Day video. But, as is, the Diamondbacks did come back against Mo Rivera and won the game. Schilling and Randy Johnson were named co-MVPs and were both named Sportsman of the Year by Sports Illustrated. 2002, he won 23 games. He did pretty well. By 2003, injuries would hit him, and he only finished 8-9. The Diamondbacks decided they couldn't afford Schilling, so they traded him to Boston in exchange for 4 nobodies. So Schilling was reunited with Terry Francona, who was a manager of the Phillies with Schilling for 4 years. Schilling picked up his 20th win in 2004, which made him the 5th Boston pitcher to win 20 or more in his first season with the team, and the first since Dennis Eckersley. I'm surprised that Pedro didn't win 20 games in his first year with the Bull Sox. Schilling was well known in Boston circles for the bloody sock game, Game 6 of the ALCS against the Yankees, in which he pitched with a tendon problem and blood soaked part of his white sanitary sock. Thankfully, Boston won that game and Game 7 to go to the World Series against the Cardinals. Schilling pitched Game 2 and did all right and all that. The Red Sox would go on to sweep the Cardinals and end the curse of the Bambino. Schilling ended up second in Cy Young voting yet again, this time to Johan Santana. But Schilling was part of the Red Sox team that were named Sportsman of the Year by Sports Illustrated in 2004. Schilling had injury issues. He was struggling. But thankfully in 2006, he was injury-free, and he actually ended up 15-7 and got his 3,000th strikeout in the 2006 season. He almost retired after the 2007 season. But that was not all for naught. Because Boston went to the postseason and Schilling wrapped up the ALDS against the Anaheim Angels. Unfortunately, Game 2 of the ALCS was a nightmare, giving up 9 hits in 4 3/3 innings. But Boston did win Game 6 with Schilling on the mound in the ALCS, forcing Game 7 to beat Cleveland. And then he pitched Game 2 of the 2007 World Series, winning the game. With Schilling's win, he became the second pitcher over the age of 40 to start and win a World Series game. Kenny Rogers for the Tigers was the first. Schilling filed for free agency and would sign with Boston. Unfortunately, Schilling would not play in 2008 because of a shoulder injury. He just couldn't do it. So he decided to retire in 2009. So Schilling ended up with the 15 most strikeouts in MLB history with 3,116 after he retired. Schilling was first eligible for the Hall of Fame in 2013. Got 38%, but that was half of what he needed. He needed 75%. He actually was close in 2020 and 2021, needing 70% and 71% subsequently. A lot of people said that Schilling's propensity for divisive statements, divisive, may have influenced voters discussed by media. Schilling has one more chance to get into the Hall of Fame on the normal ballot. It would have to be voted in by the Veterans Committee if he fails. Schilling decided to ask the Hall of Fame to remove his name from the 2022 ballot and deferred to the Veterans Committee, thinking that he was toast. But the Hall of Fame has ignored his request, and he's still on the ballot for 2022. I mean, the guy's like at 71%. He's close. He might even get to 75. You never know. So he's done a lot of things in his career. 6-time All-Star. No Cy Youngs. He lost twice to his teammate Randy Johnson and once to Johan Santana. 3-time World Series champ and MVP in 2001 of the World Series. So he's part of the 3,000 strikeout club. He's had 300 strikeouts seasons, which is unusual by a pitcher nowadays, of course. Yeah. In fact, Schilling's only one of 11 players born in the state of Alaska to play baseball, pro baseball. That's amazing. But he considers his family's native Pittsburgh area to be his home. He is married to Shonda Schilling, and they have 4 children: Garrick, Gabriella, Grant, and Garrison. Why the G's? It doesn't make sense. Anyway, Schilling is a born-again Christian. But the problem is he has an extensive collection of World War II memorabilia, which has numerous Nazi uniforms with swastikas. Schilling specified it's not a Nazi collection, it's a collection of World War II stuff. Well, tell that to the media world and the cancel culture. Schilling actually was diagnosed with throat cancer, but the cancer was in remission, and Schilling says his cancer was a result of using smokeless tobacco for 30 years. But his political involvement is his biggest downfall in a lot of people's minds, because it cost him a job with ESPN, and it's cost him dearly. Schilling opposes same-sex marriage and says each state should decide laws on the topic rather than the federal government. Fair enough. But, like, the state should decide its own laws. He's got a lot of charity works, especially for ALS, aka Lou Gehrig's deceased sufferers. And all that. He really helps ALS people. All that. Schilling had a lot of issues, especially with the fact that in the 93 World Series, it was actually said that whenever Mitch Williams was on the mound, CBS cameras would catch Schilling in the dugout with hiding his face with a towel. His teammates said he was disrespectful. Schilling didn't know what implications he had for that incident, but, you know, it wasn't that good and all that. Schilling has had conflicts with the media, especially ESPN. So anyway, Schilling had an MMORPG project, and unfortunately 38 Studios was dead in the water. So anyway, yeah, he was an ESPN guy, but then unfortunately he got deep trouble because he shared an anti-transgender Facebook post, and ESPN is supposed to be inclusive. And of course, Schilling was not really happy about it and all that. Schilling says, I wasn't fired for speaking my mind, I was fired for being conservative. Well, you can say all you want, Schilling, but you can't really be very make people divisive and all that. That's what Trump did. So anyhow, Curt Schilling is still a very good pitcher. My buddy Bill Lang is a Schilling guy, and of course he got my Philadelphia Phillies Curt Schilling card because I made a stupid bet with him. But, you know, I paid up. I gave him the card. I even has a Curt Schilling card with him with Baltimore when I got it in the Upper Deck series in 1990 of a Curt Schilling Baltimore Orioles card. He claims to carry it in his car at all times. Kind of strange, but, you know, Curt Schilling. It should have been of a Blue Jay, but what am I to judge? Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Adu.